What if the Earth suddenly stopped spinning? Let's say you wake up one morning and everything feels weirdly still. The birds are quiet. Your coffee floats up at an angle. You step outside and the wind is gone. The clouds are just hanging there like they've been photoshopped into the sky. You glance at your watch, it's 9 a.m., but the sun, still sitting on the horizon, as if someone hit pause on time itself. Congratulations. The Earth has stopped spinning, and you, my friend, are about to have a very, very bad day. You see, the Earth spins at roughly 1,670 kilometers per hour, or just over 1,000 miles per hour, at the equator. We don't notice it because everything, including the air around us, is moving at that same speed. But if the planet suddenly stopped, like really suddenly, your body, your car, your dog, and every object not bolted deep into the crust would continue flying eastward at that speed. It would be like slamming on the brakes in a car, but instead of your coffee spilling, everything spills. Buildings collapse. Trees become horizontal missiles. Oceans rush out of their basins. The atmosphere, still moving, peels off like a loose wig in a wind tunnel. Most life on Earth is either smashed, drowned, or flung into chaos within seconds. But let's assume you survive this initial apocalypse. Maybe you were deep in a mine, or inside one of those windowless concrete data centers that are apparently strong enough to survive even the end of the world. You come out 24 hours later, dazed and confused, and the Earth is still there, just motionless. Now what? First, your concept of day and night is over, literally. Without rotation, Earth's day-night cycle would collapse. Instead of 24-hour days, each side of the planet would face either constant sunlight or eternal darkness for about 6 months at a time, as the planet continues to orbit the sun but doesn't spin on its axis. Half the Earth begins to slowly bake, with temperatures rising higher and higher each week. The other half, a never-ending night, freezing colder and colder until it resembles a lifeless Antarctic wasteland. If you're lucky enough to live in the twilight zone, the thin band between light and dark, you might just have a shot at survival. But life wouldn't be easy. The global climate systems we rely on, jet streams, ocean currents, trade winds, would all collapse. The weather wouldn't just be unpredictable, it would stop making sense entirely. Massive storms would form where cold and hot zones meet. Rainforests could become deserts. Deserts could become glaciers. And nobody knows what would happen to Florida, but it probably wouldn't be good. Tectonic activity would also go haywire. The sudden halt in rotational momentum could trigger massive earthquakes and volcanoes as the planet adjusts to its new, still state. Mountain ranges might buckle. Continents might crack like cheap plates. And if you think GPS is helpful now, forget it. Satellites are still in orbit, spinning around a non-spinning Earth. Most communication systems collapse, and your iPhone becomes a very expensive flashlight. Unless Apple has an update for that too. But wait, there's more. The Earth's magnetic field is generated by its rotating molten core. If the rotation stops, eventually the core could settle too. Without that movement, the magnetic field would weaken or even vanish. That means no more protection from solar radiation. The sun's rays would start bombarding the surface with deadly particles. So not only are you dodging tornadoes and drinking boiled puddle water, now you're getting microwaved slowly. And remember the oceans we talked about earlier? When Earth rotates, the water bulges out near the equator due to centrifugal force. Without that spin, the oceans would begin to migrate, slowly, toward the poles. Over time, the equator becomes dry land, while areas like Canada and Russia are swallowed by massive new seas. Florida may actually finally disappear beneath the waves, and no one would be surprised. Now, let's say humans adapt. We build cities in the twilight zone. We develop new farming techniques using artificial light and temperature controls. Maybe Elon Musk finally launches a solar umbrella big enough to shade half the planet. But the human population would likely drop by billions. Nations would collapse. Global cooperation would be essential, but ironically harder than ever, since the internet is toast and most satellites are useless. And what about the moon? It's still orbiting us, but our new non-spinning Earth doesn't have the same gravitational dynamics. Tidal patterns change drastically. Entire coastlines vanish or reappear. In some places, you could walk out a mile and still not touch the ocean. Finally, after a few thousand years, if we're still around, the Earth might slowly start spinning again. Tidal forces from the moon could gradually coax it back into motion, though it would take millions of years to restore anything, close to the 24-hour cycle we used to know. So, what if the Earth suddenly stopped spinning? Most of us wouldn't live long enough to tweet about it, but if anyone survived, deep underground, somewhere in the narrow zone between heat and cold, they'd live on a planet that barely resembled Earth as we know it, a broken clock in space, ticking no more. But hey, at least you'd never be late for work again.